Oh, come on.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are just kicking off for today. We are live streaming into all sorts of places. I'm just going to mute everybody. Give me a second. And we're going to kick off. So you've got a few minutes until we start the event for Members Night today. This is your opportunity to type in exactly where you're watching us from and to send a message out to your people because we did not get an app alert. Apologies, something malfunctioned. So I want to make sure that everybody has reached out to their members directly and said, get on. You don't want to miss this today. So we'll give you a timer. That'll give you a few minutes to get everything ready to go. Alrighty. Now, some people don't speak fluent English, and with that in mind, because we're in 74 different countries around the world, we do have closed captions, which you can read along with here in the Zoom room live and on playback in YouTube as well. So have a quick listen to this.
Por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en Zoom o YouTube y haga clic en subtítulos para leer en español.
Kérlek, menj a képernyő aljára, a Zoomon vagy a YouTube-on, a Closed Caption részre, és ott el tudod olvasni magyarul a feliratot.
Silakan klik di layar bawah pada Zoom atau YouTube dan klik caption untuk membaca dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Pour les sous-titres en français, veuillez cliquer au bas de votre écran Zoom ou YouTube sur CC ou Closed Captions.
Zoom または YouTube の画面の下部に移動し、字幕をクリックして日本語で読んでください。
請到屏幕底部點閱隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
Παρακαλώ πηγαίνετε στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης, στο Zoom ή στο YouTube και κάντε κλικ στους υπότιτλους για να τα διαβάσετε στα ελληνικά.
請到屏幕底部點擊隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
אנא עברו לתחתית המסך בזום וביוטיוב ולחצו על תרגום לכתוביות בעברית.
Proszę zejść na dół ekranu na Zoomie lub YouTubie i kliknąć napisy, żeby przeczytać po polsku.
Beautiful. So we have people logged on from all over the place, and I love reading that in the chat. You know what? When you logged in, it said be a participant. Participants interact. So we would love to hear you in the chat. Don't just watch, participate. So we have Perth, Western Australia. Thank you. Drumheller. I think that's Canada. Indonesia, Surabaya, New Zealand, WA, Western Australia, I think. I'm tipping. Virginia. BC, Canada, we have New York, Las Vegas, Indonesia, Nigeria, New Zealand, Ontario, giddy up from Elmira. We've got Philippines, we've got in the building, we have Florida, Toronto, Perth, Western Australia, and we have lots of snow. Thank you, Keith, and of course, Illinois. So welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. For those people who don't know, Michael Firth, one of the founding Field Advisory Board members who helped start the company, also one of the Crowns. And I've been given the responsibility of doing Members Night today, and you're probably wondering why I'm cutting off my forehead. So I thought I would start with sharing something very vulnerable. Did you know in Australia that we have kangaroos and we have koalas and we have some of the most venomous things in the world? Well, if you wrestle a kangaroo, look what can happen, right? Now, I told that story to the Indonesians, but it's actually BS. I'm just kidding. I actually did something very Australian. I reached into the cupboard to grab some Vegemite, and there was a sharp corner of the bench that hit me smack in the middle of the forehead, and I thought I'd be a crash test dummy for all of you to see how it goes when we spray with Numi Skin, and I'm even spraying Swish on my face as well. So I'll look 1,000 years younger in a few days, and I won't have my Harry Potter, whoops, wrong side, Harry Potter scar as well. But I'm going to weave some magic for you today. And thank you, Steve. It was an ouch. I've got to tell you, it actually hurt a lot. And have you ever seen how much you bleed from your head? It's crazy. You'd swear you need to go to the emergency ward straight away, but no, it's all good. So today we are live streaming into YouTube. We're live streaming in all sorts of different places at the same time. Anyone who's on those platforms, please be a participant as well. Type in, hey, I'm logged in from this location, if you're on Facebook, whatever it is, and interact. Now, I want to say, I heard this statement many years ago from a great mentor, and that is that the sharpest pencil remembers more than the sharpest mind. So if you're sitting here, like some people do, without a pen, without paper, without a way of writing notes down electronically or physically, and you're listening, you're not learning because you're not taking it in. So we want to make sure today we've got a very strong focus on learning. And the reason we've done the event we have the way today is because it's the new start of the new year. We had the first call from corporate where they talked about setting yourself up for the year. Then we had all the crowns come on, some of the highest income earners in that category, and talk about vision mapping and the way that would set the year up. There are many different 90-day blitzes with different teams that have started around the world. There are brand new members that have just launched and just joined since New Year's, and we're in a brand new year, 2025, and it's going to be an absolutely spectacular year. With that in mind, it's important to come back and remind people of the basics, okay? So with that in mind, some of this stuff I'm going to talk about, you might go, I've heard this before. I'll guarantee you this, guaranteed. And that is repetition is the mother of skill. And I'll guarantee you that every one of you, including me, needs to hear some things over and over again in order for it to sink in. Now, this recording will be available for you straight away after on YouTube, and so you'll be able to send that off to people. We'll put it into the members area because guess what? We've had all the training in the world on social media, on getting started, on all these things in your back office and in your apps the whole time. How many people go there and watch the recordings? Very few. So we're doing it live to make sure there's no excuse. This is a brand new, refreshed, getting started type training. So right now, I am doing an ANZ Blitz, Australia New Zealand Blitz. I'm doing a Philippines Blitz. Kicked off a few of those things recently. And the idea is, and even Indonesia, I know they're doing 100 Days to Crown sprint at the moment as well. And so there's a statement also that says you can't turn a ship that's in dock. The rudder, you can move the rudder as much as you like and the ship stays there. Why is that? Well, you don't learn anything. We can't tweak anything for you unless you're moving. So you need to have activity to learn. You could come to this event, you could play it back 1,000 times, you could get a mentor, a coach, you could read every book on network marketing under the sun, and you won't learn one little speck of anything unless you actually put activity in place and then learn as you go. So with that in mind, I've got a recording I'm going to play from one of our beautiful new members in the team here in Australia who did participate in the Blitz and learnt something on part of the Noumi process. And we're going to talk about that today. So I'm also going to talk about what I would say, are you passive or are you proactive this year? Are you passive or are you proactive? What does that mean? Well, if you are the sort of person who joined Noumi and all you've done is post Noumi stuff on your Facebook, you're passive. You're going, oh, don't insult me, Michael. No, I'm just being honest. It's not a proactive thing. You know, throwing a hook out there and hoping that a fish jumps in the boat is lovely, and it does happen sometimes. But if that's all you're doing, you're passively building your Noumi business. The proactive approach is you're reaching out to individuals, phone calls, text messages, what have you, saying, hey, you know, this is this fantastic new opportunity I'm doing, whatever your words are. Hey, if I sent you a video, or hey, if I sent you the login details, would you log in? And of course, that's how you proactively drive and grow a business. Whereas if you are just posting stuff on social media and thinking you're building a Noumi business, you're doing one little tiny passive growth strategy, but you're not really participating in the proactive ones. And this is something we talked about with all of the people in the Blitz at the moment. We talked about breaking their goals down to basics, okay? Before I do that, I want to show a couple of things just so everyone who's online gets to see this and can give those to their members after the fact. So just bear with me for 1 second as I bring them up. So there are two types of personalities out there, and I'd love to see this in the chat. Type in, are you a big picture person? If you are, type in yes. If you are a detailed person, type in details. That way you can type them in more details. So are you a big picture person, or are you, got a few yeses, got details, interesting. Okay, both. Well, that's schizophrenia, but you can't be both. You're either one or the other, right? And actually, thank you, Keith. Keep an eye on the waiting room. I just noticed there's someone in there. Big. Yes. Details. Interesting. So everyone's different. Wow. What an observation. So not everyone's like Michael Firth, who is a big picture person. All my team who are looking at me right now will verify this. If you give me something very detailed to do, good luck with that, right? It's not going to get followed through necessarily. So you wouldn't want me being an operations manager like Chris, for example, right? So I'm going to share with you two tools that will help you. And I'm just going to bring one of them up on the screen first. Just give me 1 second. Close that one down. Open this one up. So this is a tool that was created for getting people started, and it is a brilliant tool, but I want to talk a bit about that. So it's called the 90-Day Success Planner. Now, if you go through this guide, and I'm not going to go through in a methodical fashion right now, I just want to show you something. It'll welcome you to Noumi, which is amazing, with a message from Aaron. It'll go through all the things you need to do, talks about belief starts with you. It'll talk about how you can work on that better. It's going to talk about being coachable and staying committed and all the great things. Then it's going to get you to write down things, you know, about what you've learned in these different areas. And it's going to talk about your drivers, your reasons why, right? What inspires you? And, you know, some great quotes in there, some values to inspire, setting goals, breaking them down, connecting the business and sharing using the Noumi 1, 2, 3. I know I'm going fast, but you'll understand why in a minute. And then we've talked about how to share, right? And your story, all great. And then a game plan, and then building, and, you know, all things you can learn in here, build and grow. And we keep going through, talks about the comp plan and how you can benefit from that. And I'm sharing this with you, and then it says do a 90-day plan, and there's your 90-day checklist and all that, and there's your contacts, and off you go. Now, for the detailed people, you loved that, didn't you? You were salivating, right? For those people who are big picture people, and I know this is going to sound very generic, and it's not as simple as this. I was joking when I said about schizophrenia and being both. You know, you're either very detailed, minorly detailed, not detailed at all. You could be, you know, between all of these. But this is important. A driver personality, or as Steve calls them, a lion personality, never read that book. In fact, they just scanned through it and glanced at a couple of pages and never filled it out, never done anything with it. Is that wrong? No, it's not wrong. It's just their personality type. And Otter read the front cover, said, that's nice color, and put it down, and never read it since, right? So why do I share that with you? Because we have a tool for the detailed people, and I would encourage you, even if you're a lion or an otter, right? Detailed, not detailed, you know, fun-loving person, driver, do it now. Go read it anyway at some point when you have a chance. But do you need to read it before you start if you're that personality? No, you don't. Now, if you're a detailed person, if you are a golden retriever or a beaver, and you think your brand new persons all need to read that, think again. Think again. Now, often, not always, but often some of the fastest people who take off in this business tend to have the entrepreneurial lion and otter strengths, okay? So I say that to you for a reason, because now I want to show you something different. So before we had the 90-day plan, what did we have? We had a fast start guide. Now, if you haven't yet read the fast start guide and you have read the 90-day plan, that's awesome. Get out the fast start guide as a guide as well. Why is this important? Well, for the big picture people, guess what? You go through read one line ticket, read one line ticket, read one line ticket, read one line ticket. Boom, there's how you do Noumi 1, 2, 3. There's your list. That was quick. Now, why do I show you both? Where was the fast start guide created from? It was created from some leaders in the field who are lions and otters. So we thought, from our perspective, just give me the basics. Let's get started. Don't slow me down with details, right? So you have both tools. When I'm starting somebody, I ask them to tell me, would you say you love details? Or we just say, don't bog me down with details, just show me how to get going and off we go. And then depending on that will depend on which tool I give them. Now, I had this feedback to corporate yesterday about a new country launching in a new language. And I said, hey, it's awesome that you've actually done the 90-day plan, but you've forgotten where the drivers are. They're not going to read it. Did you do the fast start guide? No. Well, we need that urgently, because that's critical to get people who are big picture people started. If that all makes sense and you understand the personality differences, and it's not right or wrong, it's just people's preferences, please type in yes. So I want you to think about that. You've got both those tools. Ask the question and then give them the tool that works for their personality type, and that will be more streamlined. Trying to get a lion to stop and read that document before they start, if you are a detailed person, you are killing your business. But then again, if you have a detailed person and you gave them the fast start guide and no extra information, and you are a otter, let's say, you are missing some details that those people really need. So I really want to thank corporate team for putting together the 90-day plan, because it helps me, because I'm not that guy. Right? Just being frank with you, right? So that's those two things. Now, today we want to talk about the NUMI 123 system. And I heard a quote about 2 years ago, which really inspired me. In the previous company that I was with, Steve and Alex, they had a great product. Unfortunately, about twice the price of our products these days, and the compensation plan doesn't pay anywhere near as much, but nevertheless, a great product, right? To this very day, right? A little bit outdated compared to ours now, but still fantastic product. What they didn't have was a system. And the CEO, who had no network marketing experience, would open up a book and read Eric Worre's thought of the day. And people would run off in 10 million different directions, because this week we had this idea, this week we had that idea. Now, when we launched NUMI, we begged the company to allow the field to create the system. Why? Because if you create a system with your finger on the pulse, it will hit the mark. If you create a system based on theory, it could miss the mark, right? And so that Fast Start guide, which is interesting, Cheryl didn't even know it existed. Wow. Type in no if you didn't know that existed as well. This blows my mind, because these are the core things to get started. So there you go. There's a few people didn't know that existed. So there's the Fast Start guide and the 90-day plan, and you can have those things are available for you in the back office. You can use those things to get people started. So the NUMI 123, I heard this quote. It was really interesting. There's a guy in the industry. I won't give you his full name, because I'm not suggesting you go off and run off to look at him at that company. His name's Matt. And Matt posted on social media that he had 1 million personal team members. And I was like, holy smokes. Type in yes if you'd like 1 million personal team members. I don't know anyone on the planet that wouldn't. So pretty inspiring. And then he went on to say, I don't have 1 million personal team members because I'm a great salesperson. He then went on to say, I don't have 1 million salespeople. I didn't recruit salespeople. He said, I have 1 million personal team members because I created a system that's so simple anyone could do it. And that resonated with me, because I thought, wow, this was about a year into NUMI when I heard him say that. Now, I looked at his background. He's been in the industry for 20 years. So it took him 20 years to get 1 million personal team members. We created the NUMI 123 system in English and Spanish on day one. And now we have over 200,000 team members, but in 3 years. Where do you think we'll be in 20? You don't have to be Einstein to say we're going to add extra zeros on the end of Matt's results. Holy crap, right? Excuse the French. So that excites me. So the NUMI 123 system, is everyone in the field doing it? Alex and I were having a giggle about this recently. Is everyone doing it? No. Does everyone think they are? Yes. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Okay. So at one point, one of our corporate executives, I'm not going to mention who, because I'm not about shaming anyone, but someone got online and said, all you need to do is get this product in someone's hands. It'll do all the work. And that's not true. Sorry to burst the bubble. It's not true. If you want customers, primarily, absolutely do exactly that, if that's all you're after. So if the first question I would ask you, when you're going through your 90-day plan and writing down what drives you, are you just here to transform a few lives with health? If you want to do that, knock yourself out. If you're doing that, keep doing it. Off you go. Have fun, right? But I would ask the question, what if your driving force behind building a NUMI business was actually to have a leveraged legacy income? Now type in if that's what you would like. Who's looking for a real significant financial outcome from NUMI? Type in yes if you are. So if you are, then systems are the key. So there's three, I call them the 3 Ps, the things I've learned. Now don't think I'm some kind of expert. I'm going to share with you what I've learned and the low-hanging bridges I've hit my head on, and you can avoid those low-hanging bridges, right? So I call it the 3 Ps, my learnings: product, personality, and process. So product, some people think the product will do it all for them. And look, some network marketing companies out there, like the previous one, have great products, yet they're going down the gurgler. Why is that? Because people thought all you needed to do was be an expert in glutathione. And as long as you know everything about glutathione, man, you're going to build a big business. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. That will bring you a good customer base. And that's admirable. And if that's what you want, fantastic. But you're going to need to learn more than that if you really want to take it to the next level. And that previous company, what's really interesting is when I was following Alex's guidance, Alex had a gigantic team. He was on the inside of an inside of an inside of an inside leg in a binary, yet he had the fastest growing, biggest crown business in the company. Why is that? Then I looked at other people and they knew more knowledge on glutathione and product than I've ever known in my life. They could turn satellites with their expertise on glutathione, yet to this very day, they have tiny little businesses with lots of customers. And I'm like, wow, why is that? They didn't have a system. They're running off with the CEO's idea of the week, okay? So in Noumi, we talk about Noumi 1, 2, 3. Let's come back to that. Some people are doing Noumi 3. Try this, it's amazing. You know, you'll get a great result. And they're getting some customers and getting some success. So they think, oh, someone joined, it's working. Well, is it working? Could you duplicate that? Next question. Some people are doing Noumi 1, 3. So Noumi 1, 2, 3 is 1, connect to tools, 2, connect to leaders, and 3, connect to product. Ideally, in that order. It doesn't have to be exact, but ideally that would be the order. So like I said, some people are doing Noumi 3. Try this, it's amazing. Some people, probably the majority of them, are doing Noumi 1, 3. What's that? Hey, if I sent you a really cool video that explains all about what we're doing with Noumi with their excited blurb and whatever, and they say, yeah, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? They go, yep. You go, great, watch the video, and then, hey, try this. So that's Noumi 1, 3. Now, they get some success, and that's probably what the majority of smaller leaders in the business are doing. Having said that, Noumi 1, 2, 3 is the second step, is where the magic happens. So what is the second step? Connect to leaders. Now that can be in many formats. So let's talk about the 3 things. 1, connect to tools. How does that look? Send a video from the app, invite them onto a live event, sit down in a coffee shop and go through a flip chart, right? They'd have those in Indonesia. It could be anything, as long as we're connecting them to a tool. It could be exposing them to a presentation of some sort. Step 2 is connect to leaders. What does that look like? Well, connect to leaders could be as simple as, hey, hop into Noumi New You. I'll add you now. Okay, make sure you answer the questions. Bang, you're in immediately, right? And then check out all the testimonials. That's connecting them to the community, but it's not necessarily connecting them to leaders. So that's a really soft baby step in terms of connect to leaders. Connect to leaders, in my case, if you were my contact and I'd reached out to you and said, hey, if I send you a video, would you watch it? I would have pre-booked a follow-up call where I've said, listen, you're going to be busy. I'm going to be flat out. Let's book a time now. I'm thinking Monday or Tuesday, which suits you best at this time, and lock it in. Why? Because on that second call, or that call, I'm going to introduce you to Alex. Now you might say, didn't you help start the company? Aren't you a crown? Do you really need Alex? No, I don't. But if I don't use Alex, then you won't use me. And a brand new person with no knowledge will get a really crappy result. And I'm going to illustrate that to you in a quick video in just one moment. So the magic is step 2. Now I'm going to play a video. We're doing the Australia New Zealand Blitz at the moment. And I asked one of our brand new members, do you mind if I interview you and record it? Not just for the ANZ Blitz, but so that people around the rest of the world can learn what they're missing if they're not doing step 2. And they said, absolutely, more than happy to help. So give me 1 second, and I'm just going to find this video, which is here. There it is. And I'm going to play this for you. And I want you to have a quick listen. So take some notes and see what you have heard from this beautiful lady, Vivian, who's brand new. Have a listen to this. All right, so we're actually on the Australia-New Zealand 90-day Blitz at the moment, where people have committed to running rather than walking, or really strange that my face is not moving. Let me try that again. Or sleeping with Noumi. And they've done some activities and learned a few things, and we're specifically talking about the Noumi 1, 2, 3 process. 1, connect the leader. 1 to connect the tools. You think I know it by now. 2, connect the leaders, and 3, connect the product. And there's been some learnings in this team, so we're going to share this. So the first person who did start a second ago, but I've asked her to redo it so they could record it, is actually Vivian. So Vivian is brand new, had not done anything virtually until we started this Blitz. And I asked her, what did you learn and how important was step 2 of the Noumi 1, 2, 3 process? So over to you.
Lovely. So in this, like Michael said, this particular step was step 2, where we connect with leaders. And what's so valuable about that, particularly being a beginner, is that's my opportunity as well to watch and learn from leadership, which is in this case is Michael. Throughout that call, there were three very distinct stages within there that Michael went through. And the first one being, which we talked about later, which he identified as reach. So in that stage, it was about Michael was really making a connection with Jade, so building rapport with her. And he did this through asking her, like we would do when we meet somebody new, he's asking her questions, personal questions, but also sharing information about himself, not necessarily related to Numi, just personalized, chit chat, light things. And so building that connection rapport. He then transitioned, and it was really quite fluid, into the second key component, I suppose, of this second meeting or this phone call, which he identifies as called the qualify part of the process. And he did that really beautifully by after the chit chat and the rapport building, he's asked, so Jade, you've watched some of the videos that Viv has shared with you now. Tell me what stood out to you. And what I personally found this part incredibly powerful, because by really actively listening to Jade's responses there, it highlighted for me, it allowed me to hear what her values were. So what it was, and it was really interesting, and I know I talked about this with Michael afterwards, was that it was really good for me to hear that, because I could remember my own phone call when Michael had asked me that previously when I'd only first got on board, and to recognize the difference in the two. So some of the things that I had said to Michael were completely different to what had stood out to Jade. And why that was so powerful in my mind was I was thinking, well, that's really important, because now I know her, I'm hearing some of her value systems. So in future collaboration or, Jade's on board now, so that she was a nice, easy one. But if we needed to spend some more time, perhaps, fostering that relationship around the business, etc., I knew what her value systems were and what to sort of present and talk to, as opposed, which would have been different to the things that might have been interesting for me or important to me. So I thought that particular segment was really, really powerful. What else did I want to talk about? And then the final stage in the process is invitation. So that's that call to action. And Michael did that in a couple of different ways. So again, Jade was a nice, easy one. It was evident that she was really interested and quite enthusiastic. So Michael invited Jade and I, to look over some more videos, some extra ones. So we don't throw too much all at once. But so there was an invitation to then look at some other videos. And then he'd also invited us to invited to connect with product, because Jade hadn't yet at that stage. And then there was also, how he finished it was, there was an invitation to reconnect as a team. And again, I know Michael talks a lot about making sure that's like it's a deliberate. So it's a when, let's connect tomorrow, or is the next day. And it turned out it was the next day, because Jade was just a rocket, which was really, really nice and easy. So they were those three standouts from that call: the reach, qualify, and invitation.
Beautiful. That couldn't have said it more beautifully. And it's so powerful to interview someone who has just started the process and seen the process in action, right? Just remember this statement: you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, right? So in other words, I don't have any magic crown pixie dust that I sprinkled on, Jade. Jade was already the right person, and I was just asking questions. But the reason I wanted Vivian to explain this to you is because some people, if they struggle to do the Numi 1, 2, 3, when the 2 is the most powerful part out of the both of them, all three of them, it's because of one of two things. One, they're fearful that the person upline is either poorly trained, doesn't know what to say, or more often, they're scared they're going to try and close the sale. Now, my job isn't, as a third party, not to close a sale. My job was to go through the 3 steps of greeting, building rapport, qualifying, asking lots of questions to understand Jade, and then just suggesting in invitation to take the next steps. And so if I could tell from step one that Jade was really keen, right? Sometimes you'll have somebody who's like, oh, I just want to look at your products. That's cool. So I would have taken a different tact in my questions and answering, but I would still have spent most of my time on greet and qualify, because people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. If you're not bonding with them, but you're the knowledge source on glutathione up the wazoo, you're going to struggle, because it's not about selling glutathione. It was about finding what Jade's needs, wants, and desires were. But as I said to Jade, and she'll edify this, she's probably going to nod at me when I said this, I said, hey, it's great that I'm here to answer your questions and help you through the process, but I'm actually not just here for that. I'm here to train Vivian. Didn't I? Yep, she's nodding at me. So I said, thank you for asking all these questions, because now you've just helped me train Vivian. So the University of Numi, the most powerful university, is actually sitting, listening to questions for your contacts and prospects being answered by someone with more knowledge than you. Now, if I didn't do that, Vivian couldn't answer those questions herself down the track. So you could sit through 1,000 webinars and do it all on your own. We call them the Lone Ranger. You'll struggle compared to people who follow the Numi 1, 2, 3. Okay, so who learnt something listening to that? Type it in the chat. What did you learn? What do you think is the most helpful thing you just heard? And while you do that, I'm just going to pull out a couple of things that stood out for me, because repetition is the mother of skill. You'll notice that she said I made invitation. It was 3 stages. It was actually the right words, by the way. I think she did the wrong words at the start. Greeting, qualify, invitation. That's the flow I went through. Greet, qualify, invitation, which I learned from a guy called Tim Sales, amazing trainer in the industry. Best training I've ever heard. And the greet is the rapport building. The qualify is understanding the needs, wants, desires, don't wants, understanding the individual. And then the invitation is the invitation to take next steps. Now, I said I'm not here to close. If the person's ready to sign, do it. But I'm not here to hard twist an arm close. I'm here to open the relationship, open the opportunity to check out more information if that's what you need, and go with the flow. Just having a quick look in here, what people learnt. What have we got here? Not job to close, job to go through 3 stages. Yes, so Cheryl, the job is to open the relationship and yes, hold their hand to the next step. But here's the thing, once you think you've picked up on it, write this one down, BAMFAM, BAM, FAM, book a meeting from a meeting. So one of the skills that I've developed over the years that everyone needs to develop as a good networker is to book a meeting from a meeting. Okay, here's a question. Who would not want to be perceived as the annoying, pushy network marketer? Type in no if you don't want to be that person. Because if you don't do what I just said, and I'll reiterate it in a minute, you will become that person. Let me explain. So you do NUMMI 1, 3. Hey, watch this video. Now try this product. And then you follow up. Hey, did you watch the video? No. Oh, that's okay. I'll ring you in a few days. Hey, did you watch the video? No, I haven't had a chance yet. Oh, that's okay. Hey, did you watch the video? No, I haven't watched the video yet. I'll get back to you when I have. Now you're that annoying, pesky person who keeps going back and back and back and back and back and back and back. And now you're going to have a weird energy between you and your friend. If you just learn how to book a meeting from a meeting by saying, hey, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? Yep, great. Hey, when's a good time to debrief? Because you're going to have questions. I was thinking Monday or Tuesday at this time or this time. Which one suits you best? When pre-booking the follow-up, you are never that annoying, pesky person because you already have a date. So what she said at the end is, Michael extended the invitation to regroup. I booked the meeting from the meeting because I couldn't rely on Vivian to do it. She's brand new. She wouldn't know how to do that. So that's my job as the upline to say, hey, let's take the next step now. So we got on the next one and then Jade joined, and Jade's probably watching this now or watching the recording because she's one of our brand new excited team members. All right. So BAM fam, book a meeting from a meeting. Now, if someone struggles to book the step 2, it's from one of 2 reasons. Number 1, they're fearful of the upline being a pushy bugger. And that just means the upline's not trained well, or your perception about the call's wrong, because it's not about being a pushy bugger. The second one is they're not trained or haven't practiced how to ask the question to book a meeting from a meeting, which is learn and practice out loud as much as you can. Hey, once you've watched that video, you probably have some questions. Hey, when's a good time to debrief? I was thinking Monday or Tuesday, this time of this one, which one suits you best? That is my repertoire, what I say, because guess what? It's a yes, yes answer. Monday or Tuesday, which one? Not would you like to? So a nervous person will go, hey, I was thinking of introducing you to my upline, Michael. Would you like to do that? No, I'm okay, thanks. That's a yes/no question. You never ask yes/no questions. It's always yes, yes, right? So that's a very important point on how to book step 2. So if you're not having a lot of success with step 2, ask yourself the question, do you see it in the wrong light? It's not a closing call. It is an open relationship call, and you want them to meet a third party. An upline can ask questions you can't if you're too close to your friends. I've had someone on a call who told me how they had depression, and the person who introduced them said, oh my God, we're best friends, and she's never told me that. So a good upline who understands greeting, bonding with people, then qualify asking the right questions to discover which way this is going to go, and then doing the invitation, not in a pushy way. It is magic. Step 2 is magic. And go back to what Matt said. He said, I have 1 million personal team members because of a system everyone could duplicate. This Noumi 123 started all of Noumi, went worldwide, and then we noticed some big leaders hop in and have slightly different ways of doing things, which is totally fine. But we realized it wasn't necessarily getting duplicated around the world, so we duplicated it in Indonesian, Greek, Spanish, etc. And now in every language, there is one duplicatable system. Now, if you're a leader and you're going, well, I want to do things my way, you're totally at liberty to do that and knock yourself out. No one's going to tell you what to do. But I can tell you that if I expand my business into France, Italy, whatever, they all have exactly the same system, which makes it easy. That's why my team is on every continent of the globe. And I know that I don't have to change my message and my systems every time. How simple is that? So that's worthwhile thinking about. Okay. Now, on step 2. So when we're doing a 3-way call, we have 3 steps. Write them down. Greeting, building rapport, qualify, asking quality questions, discovering their needs, wants, and desires, then invitation to take the next steps. Back on the Noumi 123, connect to tools, connect to leaders, connect to product, ideally in that order, but it's not exact, right? So step 2, what if your business is growing so fast you haven't got time to do one-on-ones with everybody? Jonathan said that to me with Indonesia when we launched. So they have a Q&A. I have a lady in my team downline of Perth who's in America, and we're struggling to line up diaries sometimes. I said, let's lock in a weekly Q&A then, and you just try and get all your prospects into that, and we'll do it a group Q&A. So ideally, I believe, just my personal opinion, and I'm not right with everything. Who would believe that? Just ask Liz, my wife, right? So I'm looking at it from this perspective. Some people might see it differently, and everyone's got their own opinions. I'm just sharing it to my leadership from my experience. I prefer one-on-one. Why is that? If Phoebe was on a call with me and Alex, he would go through greeting and qualify and discover all of Phoebe's unique desires, wants, don't wants, etc., and then pitch in the invitation to her needs. If I have a group Q&A, I'm not targeting specifics, am I? Because I'm talking generalities, and that's the only difference. But if you're building fast, hey, I'd much rather be building fast and have group Q&As with 100 people a day on it than doing a one-on-one. Knock yourself out. Yes, right. So Indonesia, they're saying they do have group Q&As and that's fantastic. So we've talked about getting started. Some people said they didn't even know we had the 90-day plan and the Fast Start Guide. Boom, you now do. We've talked about the importance of step 1, 2, 3, and 2 being the most critical step. Does the person have to be your upline crown? Absolutely not. They can be one person who's one step ahead of you. They can be at the same rank as you. It's irrelevant. It's about being a third party. What if your upline have all died or moved on? Well, get a spa partner in each leg and get a downline to work with you, right? So you can do this many ways. Okay. Now, having said all of that, let's break your goals down. We're starting the year. We now know there is a system. We now know we've got all the tools to start people correctly. Break your goals down. Last week, we talked about vision mapping and goal setting and breaking it right down to baby steps with activity. So in the blitz that we're running, the 90-day blitzes at the moment, I've said to everybody, and again, give credit where credit's due. Crossline to me, downline of Alex is a beautiful human being by the name of Italo. And Italo and I are very close. He was the first person to wish me a happy birthday at the summit last year, because I woke up and there he was, and he said, let me take you to breakfast. And he's a beautiful guy with a lot more wisdom than I've got. He's been around in the industry a lot longer than I have, and he broke our 130-10 building philosophy down to cycles. So I'm going to talk about cycles now. So cycles are the baby steps that everyone can believe they can do. What do I mean by that? A cycle is these numbers. 10 calls today, 10 calls tomorrow, 10 calls the day after. Baby steps. Now, in our current blitz, I've said to some of the people there, if that scares you, which would make me laugh, but if it does, do it differently. Go 5 calls today, 5 calls tomorrow, 5 calls the next day. That's half a cycle. Then next week, after you've done some follow-ups, do 5 calls a day, 5 calls a day, 5 calls a day. Now, that could be calls, texts, whatever. Someone who's doing Noumi part-time, working a full-time corporate career that has a lot of demands could still do a cycle at that rate easily. So what does it mean? Well, if you do 30 contacts, 30 invitations, I should say, over a 3-day period or a 2-week period, statistically, on average, you will end up, and some get more, some get less, but this is the average. You'll end up with, on average, maybe 3 members and maybe 3 customers, which is a perfect balance, right? So when you've done that, guess what you've done? You just showed people how to do Power of 3. Guess what? Power of 3 leads to 1 star. 1 star leads to crown. There you go. I've just simplified the whole compensation plan for you. So everything's just based on everyone doing a cycle. Now, there is a thing called the triple sort in the industry that I haven't created. I just heard from somebody else. And that is, just because someone joins doesn't mean they're going to build. So the first one is who's going to join. The next one is, out of the people who joined, who's going to build? Because not everybody builds. Some people join, use the products, go, this is amazing, speak to 2 people and go, oh, I've got some knockback. And then they, like a turtle, put their head back in their shell and never talk to anyone ever again. So that's the first run. The next one is who's going to build. They're people who will put themselves out of their comfort zone. They will do cycles, right? And they'll get results. And then the next one is who's going to lead. They're people who are going to understand having one system is more powerful than having many. And they're the ones who will defend the Noumi culture and Noumi 1, 2, 3 and ABC systems with everything I've got and build internationally. So why do I share that with you? Well, step 2 of that was who's going to build. Anyone who was wanting to achieve anything of note this year, I would highly recommend that what you do is you set yourself daily tasks. Daily tasks. If you come off of this call today and you do nothing else, make sure in the next 24 hours you reach out to at least 5 invitations. That could be texts, that could be Facebook messages, that could be phone calls. I like phone calls because that's the way I operate. You do what works for you. Emails, don't. Why? I said this conversation with someone yesterday. An email is a broadcast. A text message conversation backwards and forwards can have questions. A phone call is about the questions. Hey, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? Yeah, oh, great. Oh, once you watch it, you'll have some questions. So an email is a one-way communication with no booking a meeting from a meeting. So never use it. It doesn't work. But a text message back conversation with multiple interactions can still say, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? Sure. When's a good time? I was thinking of this time. Same can happen in a Facebook message or a LinkedIn message or whatever. So you still want to follow the Noumi 1, 2, 3, where you're ideally connecting to a tool, pre-booking, booking a meeting from a meeting to a follow-up with someone, group or one-on-one, and then connect to product at the end. If this has been helpful, I just want to make sure I'm really hitting the mark here. Please type in yes. So break your goals down to baby steps. And when you get off this call, the number one thing I want you to do is set yourself, and I'll call it a boulder in your diary, a boulder in your diary. If you want to be on the Diamond Retreat with us throughout the Mediterranean, every single one of you, including brand new people, can be there, can. But you're going to need to start with baby steps on a daily task basis. And that means making 5 calls or 5 texts or 5 approaches in the next 24 hours and then doing it the day after, then doing it the day after. Such tiny, weeny baby steps. But baby steps build empires. That's the point. So focus on that. Now, the boulder idea is, and what's a boulder? Tell you what a boulder is. A boulder is a super heavy rock that goes in your diary, which means it can't be moved. So, for example, where I learned about boulders was I was coaching one of the most successful mortgage brokers in the mortgage industry in Australia once, and he said, I have a boulder in my diary every week, which is my wife. And I'm like, what does that mean? He said, well, you know what? That $1 million deal comes, and if I don't have a boulder in my diary, I'll go, sorry, honey, I know we're having date night, but I've just had this $1 million deal. So he said, I have to have something that is so concrete that nothing other than me going to my own grave is going to change that boulder. So I would encourage it if you really want to get your business humming with Numi, you're going to be fearful. You're not going to step out of your comfort zone all the time because you're going to have some innate fear. How do you get rid of that? Put a boulder in your diary that says, Michael told me put a boulder in my diary tomorrow and make 5 contacts. So I'm going to put an hour aside or 30 minutes aside to text out or call out, whatever. And the number one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do that first and foremost, and then everything else can happen. But that is a boulder. I am going to make 5 calls, 5 contacts, 5 invitations tomorrow. No matter what else happens, that's happening, and then everything else can fit into my day. If you don't do that and you don't make it a priority, your visions, your dreams, your aspirations of being financially free with Numi and being on the Diamond Retreat in Italy ain't going to happen. It's based on your daily broken down activity habits. Okay? Now, as we go through this, I love the fact that we're doing the Blitz in Australia and New Zealand. It gave me some inspiration to share with you people's learnings that you could all share from and learn from. Next week, based on the same thing, the Indonesian team doing their 100 Days to Crown was so powerful. These guys are on fire. And I've got to say, when they did that, they asked a question in the Indonesian leadership call yesterday, which was, could Numi help us set up so we could do some expos, right? Expos meaning standing there with a stand and product and, you know, talking to cold strangers. It could be in a supermarket, it could be in a wellness expo, it could be whatever. And I said, great idea. It's not a primary strategy, meaning reaching out Numi 123 to your warm market is the primary strategy, right? But the extra strategy of developing more leads, because we say there's 5 ways to strike gold, and the last one is lead generation, like that. The first one is always warm contacts. Then who can you meet, right? Meaning new people. 2 people through people, helping drive depth. That's what I'm helping Jade now, because she met her through Vivian, who met her through Justine, right? That's driving depth. And then social media. Notice how that's number 4. If it's all you're doing, you're passively building your business. As I said at the start, you're not proactively, you're passively building a business if all you're doing is posting online. And then the last one was lead generation. That could mean expos, and that's another additional way of growing your business. So I've asked 2 people so far whether they'd be available for me to interview next week because they've been successful in running these expos. And they said yes. So again, not theory, based on real life example with people running successful expos, we're going to interview people next week about that on Members Night. Now, you might say, I've got no interest in running an expo, so I won't attend. That's dumb. Why is that dumb? I've never run a Numi expo, but my teams run hundreds of them, right? So if I'm stupid enough to think I don't run expos, so I don't need to hear this information, what about me having downline that do want to run expos? So guys, open your mind. Don't be so closed-minded that you go, this is the way I run the business. Otherwise, you're a one-dimensional leader and you won't be able to help your people achieve crown. Because I'm telling you now, as you get through to a big business with hundreds of thousands of members like we have, you will have people who are wellness warriors doing it one way, primary network marketers doing it the primary way, expo people doing it as well. You'll have influencers in there as well. You might not even understand influencers, right? I'm not that generation. I look at them, I'm going, what the heck? But hey, they're bringing a lot of business. So we have to adapt our business to understand all of those people are involved in there as well, okay? So I want to thank you for attending today. I want to encourage you to take this recording from the YouTube channel, which we'll put into the members, Numi members private Facebook group in a minute. And I want to encourage you to make sure every brand new member gets to see this so that we can get everyone on track to have the most productive 2025 we have ever seen. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Oh, before I finish, I want to show this. I just remembered. Whoops, nearly forgot. Just give me 1 second. This is really important. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I must have saved it. Here it is. Yes. All right. So you remember I said before, there is who's going to join, doesn't mean they're going to build. I said then there's who's going to build, and that's what we just talked about. And then there's who's going to lead. Now, to lead means stepping out of your comfort zone even further and doing things that may not be natural for you now, to learn new things. Now, I want you to all thank these people, because just since Christmas, just Christmas alone, all of these people have stepped up to help you in your business. We have presentations recorded in Hebrew, Greek, Polish, Indonesian. We've got Spanish. We've got English presenters. Some of these people on the screen, I'll focus on yesterday's, Irene, first time she has presented for the company ever, right? And I want to take a hat off to her and say, hey, that's personal growth. So when you're ready, and Prue down the bottom there, same story. So when you're ready, and even Martin up the top, first time he's presented officially for the company, leaders do different things to builders. They step up to the next rung of the ladder. Now, I want to say this because these people since Christmas have done presentations for all of you right around the world to support your business. So please, when you see them, thank them. Thank them for being the leader that supports the greater good. They're not building their teams, they're building everyone's teams. And I would put it to you this way. Do you want to be the leader? And if you do, we are looking for more people to step up and learn how to present, right? So we want more and more and more of you to be that person who says, I'm ready to step out of my comfort zone. We won't just throw you in the deep end. Every one of those new presenters, you probably noticed, co-presented. We had them practice the first half of the presentation and said, don't worry, we've got the ball, we'll do the second part. And we're starting to breed leaders because people who present never quit. Because every time they present, them inspired again. And what we're breeding here is a whole new level of people that keep presenting. Because one day, Michael Firth won't be on this computer screen at all. I'll be sending postcards from Bahamas going, how awesome is Irene? How awesome is, Ronan? How awesome are these people? And we want you to be the same people. And you can't breed that if you haven't done it yourself. Okay? Monkey see, monkey do. So thank you